Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Sammy Lega here representing TeamJVS. I'm back here again for another movie review. The name of this movie is called True Things. This is a part of TIFF 21, the Toronto International Film Festival 2021. We're still doing coverage and we are still trucking. Thank you guys all for watching our reviews thus far. We will be having some interviews and some other things and probably a breakdown, recap of what we've thought of TIFF this year. And we want to also thank Tiff for giving us an opportunity to be able to provide coverage this year, specifically for any and all their specifically events. All right, so what did I think about True Things? So this is starring Ruth Wilson. This was directed by Harry Woodliff. And this is also co-starring Tom Burke. Tom Burke, he was in a recent film with Gary Oldman. I just got an Oscar nomination. It's on the tip of my tongue. But I don't want to go too far and harping on that. So Ruth Wilson, I love her from Luther. That is Alice. And Alice is insane. But she's also been in a slew of other things as well. And in her own right, I honestly gravitated towards this movie just off of her name alone. And so I did not understand the concept of this, but I very quickly understood that the character Kate, she's kind of like just cool in society. Like she works this interesting little job. She's talking with and trying to help people get jobs, essentially. And, you know, people talk down to her quite a bit. They try to set her up with stuff. Like, she doesn't seem like she has an opinion of her own. And yet she really wants to settle down. She wants to be happy. And one day, the last person she interacts with says that she's ugly. And she kind of has this moment where she looks back at herself and it's like self-assessing whether or not it was the validity from what he said. And then the next person she meets is dude with blonde hair. And he's all over her. And he's infatuated to her and wants to spend time with her. And then she gets, I don't want to say seduced, but swept under her feet. Like, and this guy, he continuously really just pursues her. Now, with that pursuit, you do understand that this guy came out of prison. And so you don't know what his intent is, but you definitely understand how this can cause a negative effect on someone like Kate, because she becomes very codependent, very clingy, and it's not just even clingy, like she becomes attached. And this is an individual that she might not need to be attached to. And it also will affect her reality around her. And I think that that's the thing about this film, is that it opens up the process of a person that on the outside looks like they're okay. But on the inside, you start to realize that there's a lot of holes all over this person's her spirit, essentially. And she wants so much more, and yet she doesn't feel complete. She doesn't feel whole. And this person has swept her under her feet, is promising her the things that she's been wanting and yearning for: companionship, love, interest, spontaneousness, and it is showing that she is not where she needs to be mentally. And I think that that's the thing that's the interesting part about her role in this. I'm talking about Ruth Wilson. I think that she plays that role very well. I think that she does a great job of it. I think at a certain point around like the second act, I was like, oh, wow, they're about to go all the way forward. But then they kind of pumped the brakes at a certain point, which I think was fair enough. And then they go a different route, which her character, if I just went and rated the movie based off of her process and her character's individualism and where her character goes and where she's gone, I think that story is really good. I think that just off of her. The problem is that with Tom Burke, and that's not a slight to him, but I don't feel it. I don't feel, I feel like it was this really cookie cutter performance. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't anything elaborate. I didn't love to hate him. I just knew that he was going to ruin certain things and aspects of her life. I wanted to feel as though I questioned whether or not he was good or bad for her. And in some respects, I can say I thought that for a second, but then it was just the performance and the way that I don't know if the director knew what he was supposed to be conveying to us, the audience, through his connection with her. I think it was just a lot of different scenes that they used with them together that I was kind of like, okay, that feels really creepy. Oh, well, that feels interesting. Oh, wait, no, that feels very dangerous. Oh, wait, that feels very reassuring. And I think that if it was a different actor maybe, or if it was telegraphed in a certain kind of way through dialogue or through him interacting with other people outside of her, there's only one scene that you see him interacting with other people. And so the whole entire movie, you really just kind of left up to interpretation. Now, granted, she has other people around her that are helping her, that are talking to her, her mom, her friends, her dad. But then at the same time, you know, she's estranged from everybody around her as well. Like, she gets into a date with somebody and date person just is really a jerk. And then she's interacting with somebody else with her job and they're just really a jerk. And it's almost like the male figures in this don't respect her at all in this entire film. But even deeper than that, also the female, like the female people that she's supposed to rely on, they're no good either. And I think that that's where I said that if his character worked, everything that he's doing could have been validated. And I think that it just didn't. And because it didn't, the movie kind of unravels itself, because then you're kind of like, oh, I'm all the way behind Kate, but everybody else around her, she's better off without him, or I missed something, you know? And I think that that's where the problem is. And the cinematography is okay. It's not anything really special. There's some really interesting artistic shots that I think that I appreciate. Some of the score actually does flow really interesting. Sound mixing works really well. But then there's some shots that are just misleading. You can't tell whether they're dreams. You can't tell if they're real. And it just kind of happens so much that I'm left to the interpretation that that's her mind state. But I don't know. It just didn't translate very well. I think the transition between when it happens and how it happens didn't work very well for me. I'd rest this at a 5 out of 10. I would recommend this possibly for people to look at it from being self-assured of what you are and who you are, and not allowing anybody, whether good or bad, to leave such an impression that would put you in an estranged state. And I think that that's the interesting part about this. That's why I liked, and that's why I love Ruth Wilson's performance in this, because it does play to that directly. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button. We got a lot more reviews coming, and we can't wait to give them to you. So make sure you push the post notifications button, and we'll be back. Okay, guys? Peace, everybody.